last thing in the world that they want is any of this stuff. They do not want you taking a MM120, mind meds MM120. They don't want you taking a single dose of psilocybin or LSD and curing your generalized anxiety disorder. They don't want you doing the MAPS, Lycos, MDMA protocol. And 71% of those who do might be clinically healed from their PTS. Big Pharma does not want any of this, nor do the tobacco and alcohol lobby. The tobacco and alcohol companies, this is an absolute horror to them. So I think we do a 1 hour documentary on follow the money, man, and the politics of this thing. I'll keep some conversations private, but one of those congressmen I talked to is, I love what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to have a problem with Big Pharma. Excuse me? Isn't that your job? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, brought to you, powered by the No Fallen Heroes universe, ecoverse, multiverse, fill in the blank. Man, it's been a long time since we've had a Solo Whiz. We had the 100th Max Afterburner podcast last week. Go check that out. We had Daniel Carcillo, we had Cody Chandraw, we had my beautiful bride, Susie, and we also had our Director of Medicine Operations, Nicole Fox. We debriefed the past 3 years since we started the podcast. In about that same time frame, we went from Top Gun Fighter Foundation to the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. And man, what a long, strange trip it's been. Highs, incredible lows, incredible in-betweens. And at the end of the day, referencing Susie's podcast, I think episode 33, it's fine. It's always fine, man. Everything's okay, which is great, which is where I need to start today because of just everything that's going on, man. I really don't want to drop anchor here because there's so much good to talk about, but the country just, Donald Trump being convicted on 34 felony counts, man. You just can't even. Anybody celebrating that is kind of what's wrong with this country. Very sad day. I mean, old me before the medicine, 5 years ago, me, I'd be frothing at the mouth right now. I'd be jumping out of my skin, but it just doesn't. It's sad. It's a sad day for the country and for what's to come. You import the third world, you become the third world. Jailing political opponents, just not even, wasn't even on my bingo card. So, let the legal system play out. It'll be appealed, and there's 90 million things that can be overturned on appeal. But the fact that we even had to get to this point is just absolutely devastating. But seeing people celebrating this is just, it's awkward. And there's kind of no coming back from this, right? It's like saying fucking church. It's out there and you ain't bringing it back in. And that's sad. And that just, that goes to the broader issue that this country just needs healing, man. The hate, the vitriol, the bitterness, and if you don't agree with me, you're not an American, or you're not a patriot, or it's just, man, I've never seen it this divided. I grew up child of the 80s, 70s, 80s. Ronald Reagan, shining house on the hill. Man, we were that shining house on the hill. Now it's essentially turning into a shithole. Crime, raging inflation, a wide open border we've been invaded. Nearly 10 million fighting age individuals, not just from Latin America, folks. Chinese, Syrian, Middle Eastern, Russian, you name it. Man, you're getting anally searched by the TSA, jumping on a flight, and we got Border Patrol agents high-fiving people coming into this country. I can't even, and it hurts to even to talk about it this way. Where I am, man. The number one source of recruitment for the United States military for generations has been veterans. I don't know a single veteran that wants their kids to serve. For what? I'm old enough to remember a couple months ago when 3 brave Georgia National Guard soldiers were killed in Jordan. They were attacked by Iranian proxy forces. And Joe Biden's press secretary said, these 3 brave folks died serving this administration. Excuse me? And that's how those type of people view the military. You're serving us. You're serving this administration. Wow. I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I didn't take an oath to an administration. So, I guess in good news, a couple weeks ago, my son, Matthew, my oldest boy, drove up to Jacksonville, and he was sworn in to the Florida Air National Guard. The 125th Fighter Wing as its newest member. So proud of my boy. I support his decision to serve. I counseled against it, but I said, if you're going to serve, man, go in the Guard. It's like corporate America, baby. And it's good because that wing is transitioning from the F-15 Eagle to the F-35. And a lot of the older F-15 drivers aren't going to make that transition to a new airplane. So that might open a lot of slots, pilot slots in that unit. And it's always better to be in that unit. You know, they hire from within, right? They'd rather take somebody who enlisted, and, you know, Matthew's got his degree, obviously, from Norwich University, 3.4, man. Graduated from a senior military college, just shy, I think, a decimal point of honors, but, officer in the Corps of Cadets. So let's hope that, he's looking pretty damn good for a pilot slot. So very proud of my boy. That's what's happened recently. My boy Jack did a year at CU, just finished up his freshman year. He's home. He was in Navy ROTC, and he gave it a shot, and he said, "Dad, and I'm so proud of my boy Jack. He's the pilot in command of his aircraft." And he says, "You know what? It's just not for me. The military is not for me." I'm like, perfect. We got foundation we need help running. We have Healing Realty Trust. I have great news on Healing Realty Trust I want to talk about. My Crew Doses. And our holy water product is exploding. We got new growth connections, Daniel, and the clinics, we've opened in Oregon to help people heal with psilocybin. So my boy Jack, I welcome. If you're interested in coming into the family businesses, there's a ton of them. So, and then my beautiful daughter Keely, she's doing great. She finds out tonight if she gets into Top Gun. There's a cheer place down outside of Miami called Top Gun. It's like the world famous Top Gun for cheer, and she's going to find out at 8:30 tonight, which is weird. 8:30 on a Friday night, whether or not she gets, what level. I think she already made the level 5 team, and I think level 6 is the world's team, which is would be epic. So very proud of my boys. Healing Realty Trust, great news. I briefed you that, I forget how long ago this was, a couple months ago, flew up to New York for a investor event to brief New York investors on Healing Realty Trust, building the infrastructure for what's coming. We are 2 months-ish away from the FDA giving their final ruling on MDMA being legal for therapeutic use. Great. The Undersecretary of something for Defense was at a conference in New York a couple weeks ago and said, we're looking forward to this. And the best part about that Undersecretary's talk, I think it was at Horizons, a psychedelic kind of conference in New York. The best part about the Undersecretary's talk was saying the VA is just woefully unprepared. Doesn't shock me. That's not good news. For veterans in the VA. It's great news, putting my Gordon Gekko Armani suit on, for Healing Realty Trust. The VA Undersecretary said we do not have the infrastructure for what's coming. I think they have one clinic in Portland, Oregon, that's doing MDMA trials or therapy with a handful of veterans. Healing Realty Trust, if you're one of the 18 Top Gun Options members who invested in Healing Realty Trust, God bless you, man. You have got to be thrilled. Why? Because we looked at the 10 largest VA hospitals and where they are and where we're scooping up infrastructure to be able to provide healing centers for MDMA. That's not the good news. It is good news, but the better news is when we went to New York and I led off the investor brief at this nice restaurant in downtown New York City, my sister was standing there. One of my sisters, Cornelia Buckley Marakovitz. She runs Dune Capital with her partner, Dan Neidick, former Goldman Sachs heavy. So one of the largest privately owned REITs, real estate investment trust. And it was a bittersweet moment. Here's my sister, a 500-pound head in the REIT space. My sister was selected as New York City's Woman of the Year years ago. It was pretty cool to see her standing there listening to her little brother give an investor presentation on a REIT. So after that, and it was pretty cool to see after, I had tears in my eyes. She was crying too because, I talk about my past, my childhood, my trauma, my military trauma, and how I healed with these medicines. So it was really cool. It was a cool brother-sister moment. But the coolest thing happened after I got done talking and everybody, was kind of mingling. She was like the Pope. There was a line of people at this investor event to talk to her. Jared, one of our newest board members, he's like, "That's your sister, dude? Do you know who she is?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's an idiot. All my siblings are idiots." He's like, "What? Do you have any more idiot sisters like her or brother?" So it was really cool to see the heavies in the real estate space like, "That's your sister," and holy crap, So people at Healing Realty Trust said, it would be really cool, Wiz, if she could help in any way. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm like, come on, man. I'll see what I can do. So gave my sister Keisha. She's like, "I love everything you're doing. Tight presentation. You guys got something." She's like, "Let me check with my partner and compliance to see if this can happen." So we got good news. Kia, at a minimum, is going to join Healing Realty Trust advisory board for now. Just for time too. I mean, she's like, she clearly has 90-day job. She's like, when you guys go public, I'll shift from the advisory board to the no shit board. Boom. Drop the mic. I mean, the guy from Piper Sandler who put $50 million in was like, "That's your sister?" Oh my God. When I was just starting out in this industry, I looked up to her. I met her at a conference and she's like, "God." I'm like, okay, enough. So great news. If you're in the REIT, that my sister's joining the team, the leadership team. Very, very good news. The infrastructure for healing does not exist, period. When, not if, the FDA says that MDMA is legal for therapeutic use in a couple months, you can't do MDMA at your doctor's office, man. You need, I think the MAPS protocol is like 6 hours, 6 to 8 hour like time block. You need a big, beautiful room with a couch or a bed, 2 other, chairs, nice chairs for the 2 people that have to be in the room. It's got to be like kind of video recorded for everybody's, safety. There's got to be a separate bathroom, and that infrastructure does not exist. Years ago, there was no such thing as urgent cares or dialysis centers. You went to the hospital, man. Now that you can't go a mile without seeing an urgent care, there's dialysis centers everywhere. So this infrastructure is needed. Healing Realty Trust. We're supposed to go public, I think, Q2 of 26, so about 2 years from now. If you do not get to be an angel investor in Healing Realty Trust, it's too late. However, when we go public, I would buy those shares when it goes public with both hands. This is the way, period. So great news with Healing Realty Trust. I wanted to update you on that. Also, for the angels who invested in our, docuseries project, let me just read the email, man. I got this morning. Subject line: your proposal has been submitted to Live, L-I-V, streaming. Just a quick note to let you know that your proposal has been submitted to Live Programmers. I will let you know by next week if it was accepted and what the timing is. In most cases, further information will be needed, and we will work on that together. We look forward to working together. So, you guys, if you're a regular listener or you know anything about what we're doing at No Fallen Heroes, man, it's been a slog, man. I don't keep you in the loop so much on this part because it's a pain in the ass. Dealing with Hollywood types or media, and it's been interesting. Incredible highs and unbelievable lows as well. But guess what? Everything's fine. And I put my faith in the Holy Spirit and God, and whatever is supposed to happen will happen. You cannot mess up anything that is meant for you or that is supposed to happen. So the 6 episode, this is what Liv originally said. Hey man, 6 episodes, 6 30-minute episodes. And in conjunction with that, we'd like 3 60-minute documentaries. There's 3 one-hour documentaries. They said, what do you think would be good subjects? I said, how about the medicine? Iboga and Ibogaine. Why? Michael Pollan, How to Change Your Mind. Great book. If you haven't read it, you failed. If you want the Cliff Notes, you watch How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. 4 episodes, 1 hour each. You can binge watch it tonight. How to Change Your Mind. You have to watch it. The problem, not the problem. So each episode, 1 hour each, covered a different medicine. LSD, MDMA, psilocybin, and mescaline, I think, peyote. They didn't do Iboga and Ibogaine. Iboga, root bark from Gabon, Africa. Ibogaine, a derivative of that root bark. So I said, hey man, how about a 60-minute doc on veterans doing Iboga and Ibogaine? So that might be one of them. Another doc, I said, how about the politics of it, man? Having to go to D.C. to talk to, I'm going to call them lawmakers. I ain't going to call them leaders because they're not leading. We are leading. I love this we the people moment. This is coming from us up. I ain't seeing nobody in Congress leading. Thankfully, we got Congressman Morgan Luttrell, veteran Navy SEAL, brother of my brother Marcus Luttrell, and who sat with the medicine. Dan Crenshaw, Congressman Ryan Zinke, former Navy SEAL commander, and then Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin. So we got 4 Navy SEALs pushing hard for this. The Democrats are already there. Hey, where you guys been? We would love to legalize this stuff for therapeutic use. So, but follow the money. Big Pharma, last thing in the world that they want is any of this stuff. They do not want you taking a MM120, Mind Meds MM120. They don't want you taking a single dose of psilocybin or LSD and curing your generalized anxiety disorder. They don't want you doing the MAPS, Lycos, MDMA protocol. And 71% of those who do might be clinically healed from their PTS. Big Pharma does not want any of this, nor do the tobacco and alcohol lobby. The tobacco and alcohol companies, this is an absolute horror to them. So I think we do a 1 hour documentary on follow the money, man, and the politics of this thing. I'll keep some conversations private, but one of those congressmen I talked to is, I love what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to have a problem with Big Pharma. Excuse me? Isn't that your job? So the medicine, the politics, and then maybe the last 60-minute doc is on athletes. I love it. EVA, executives, veterans, and athletes. Maybe we got Daniel Carcillo. We're heading out in a couple, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to Colorado for another healing retreat out in Colorado. So maybe we get some athletes. So that's the docs, the 3 1 hour documentaries. Have not submitted that. No Fallen Heroes Extraction, right? A veteran's in trouble. They need, if you're in trouble in the military, hey, extract, let's call in some folks and extract. We have an extraction team. So No Fallen Heroes Extraction. Think of the TV show Intervention. 11 seasons. Intervention, couple Emmys, over 300 episodes, I believe. Great show, man. It shows people who are in need and healing drugs or alcohol or issues like that. Hopefully, if the American public, since that show's been on forever, and it resonates seeing regular people heal, let's hope that the American public likes seeing veterans, first responders, their family members being healed with these medicines. So 6 30-minute episodes, and what we submitted to Live is, and this is, I am looking forward to this, and I'm not looking forward to this. You never have to say to be honest if you're honest. So I shouldn't have said to be honest. What am I talking about? The beginning of these docuseries, we're heading to Gabon. Had a great call yesterday with a former NBA player and his partner, Gabon native, who might be, I'll talk more about that down the road. But going to Gabon and getting initiated into a Bawiti tribe. Our director of medicine operations, Nicole Fox, is an initiate to the Mosoko tribe. And I think if she goes back again, and that would be her going back, that's her going to Top Gun. She goes back, she gets her instructor qualification. She gets to be able to serve the medicine after that. I'd be going first time to get initiated, like with the medicine. It's no fucking joke, man. Iboga is the most powerful psychedelic on the planet. Not to be taken lightly. It ain't fun. And so anyway, that's the beginning, first couple series. And then the story arc is going to be, hey, these guys and gals are usually forced to go to foreign countries, Gabon, Peru, Mexico, Costa Rica, to heal trauma they incurred serving this one. National tragedy. Don't get me started on that bullshit. But thankfully, Oregon, thankfully, Colorado are leading the way, and these medicines are legal at a state level. So the story is going to go from Gabon to Colorado, and we're going to have, I think, 3 to 5 veterans, first responders, or a family member that is going to be featured on this docu-series. We're gonna follow the before the medicine. We're going to follow them obviously in the journey, and then we're gonna follow the follow-up. Good, bad, otherwise. Not saying all this is sunshine, lollipops, and roses, man. The medicine, this is hard work. And it's interesting because the medicine reveals truth. Truth ain't good. Truth ain't bad. Truth is truth. Because people are like, oh, has anything ever negative happened as a result of the medicine work? Knock on wood. No. Because even, I've heard other instances, hasn't happened with us at No Fallen Heroes, but, oh, yeah, so-and-so did the medicine, they came home, and they ended up getting a divorce. And both parties to that were like, that's the best thing that ever happened to us. So it's interesting, right? Because they're like, hey, it knocked the fog off, and we could see everything. And matter of fact, we're best friends divorced, as opposed we're better apart than we are together. But it's interesting because, again, truth is truth. It's not good or bad. So why am I rambling about this? Because we're going to follow it. Ain't going to be no editing or taking stuff out if something is, quote, perceived as bad. Dr. Johnson and I, if you didn't watch that podcast, give me 50 push-ups. Dr. Johnson, formerly of Johns Hopkins, did a great podcast, where we talked about, whether it was Rick Doblin or Roland Griffiths, his old partner at Johns Hopkins, of kind of shading or, I don't want to talk like manipulating or, trying to hide what could be considered bad stuff, whether in an MDMA trial or psilocybin trial. There's no need to hide the bad. Matter of fact, I think the American public would appreciate. See, we like truth. This is why, the cover-up's usually worse than the crime, right? Whether it's with Bill Clinton, dude, you should have just came out day one and said it, and we would have forgiven you and moved on. It's the death by 1,000 cuts. It's the looking into the camera. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. We all knew he was lying. So don't shade stuff. So in our docuseries, man, good, bad, otherwise, hang a light on the bad, because at the end of the day, none of it's bad. Even we knock on wood again, there hasn't been any medical issues. Nobody's, nobody's freaked out. Nobody, ibogaine or iboga can lower the heart rate. But guess what we do? You do blood work before you sit with iboga and ibogaine. You do an EKG. At the Mission Within, you do an EKG when you get there, and you're on a heart monitor throughout the night. There's 2 nurses hanging out. There's a cardiologist sleeping downstairs. They have an ALS in the driveway, So even if there are, quote, negative things, we can potentially mitigate all that stuff. So really good news. HRT, Healing Realty Trust, good news, hopefully. Maybe by the next podcast, I'll have some news from Liv. Like I said, we submitted the whole storyline and the budget. And I guarantee you, when it comes to budgeting stuff, of course, people are going to come back with stuff. So, whatever. Maybe we're not going to Gabon. Maybe we'll go to Costa Rica. I think we talked to the Masoko people, and they're like, we could kind of meet you, and you can still be initiated into our tribe in Costa Rica, as long as you do X, Y, and Z. Okay. Gabon's a haul, man. I think Nicole went like Miami to Paris, and then Paris to Libreville, I think it's called, the capital of Gabon. But we'll see. So great news, hopefully. And other good news. It's just hot as hell down here in Florida in the summer. It's June. So I've made an executive decision as commanding officer. We're going to be bringing the jet up to Aspen for the summers going forward. We're going to turn into a snowbird. So in a couple weeks, we're going up to Aspen as a family for a nice little family vacation. I'm going to come back and then go right back up for a healing retreat, come back, and then grab the jet and take it up to Aspen for the summer through the fall. Why? July 2nd, we're doing a fundraiser for Bridging Bionics in Aspen. Incredible nonprofit that helps folks, handicapped folks, with exoskeletons, man. These things, they help people with mobility issues. They do skiing, obviously, with these folks, and some of the exoskeletons are just absolutely incredible to be able to help people be mobile. So we're bringing the jet up because they're going to auction off some jet flights up there. And then July 5th, so that's July 2nd, July 5th, there's another fundraiser, and the organization just flew out of my head. Tom Brady is the spokesperson, and he's coming, and little birdie told me he heard about the jet, and he might want to fly. So that would be awesome if we took Tom Brady flying in the No Fallen Heroes Foundation jet. That would be great to even just have him standing next to the logo. So seems like a great dude. I'd love to meet him. And we're going to leave it up there because the first weekend in October, the Aspen Flight Academy has a fundraiser. John Travolta is the main speaker or dude, and allegedly he's like, oh, hell yeah. He's a pilot, a very experienced pilot. He wants to go flying in the jet. So what was the bank robber in the 20s when they finally caught him? And they interviewed him like, why? Hey, man, why'd you rob banks? He's like, that's where the money is. So I'm a shitty fundraiser, to be honest with you. I just don't like asking anybody for money. I would hope that people would give out of their goodness of their hearts, and that ain't happening. So guess what? These foundations up in Aspen are like, no, this is where you need to be. The billionaires in Aspen, first of all, have pushed the millionaires out. So the billionaires in Aspen like atoning for how they earn their billions by helping charities and a veteran nonprofit, helping veterans, first responders and their families, especially with these medicines, especially that they're legal in Colorado now, is a win-win. So I'm hoping the fundraising stuff picks up because, man, it's I don't like talking like this, but I'll say it anyway. we're a victim of our own success. What does that mean? The more people we help, which is fantastic, the more, I tell you, this is the world's greatest Ponzi scheme. You heal, you get home, you're like, oh my God, I got to tell everybody and I want to help everybody. So it's great. But guess what happens? Every morning I wake up, man, Instagram, email, whatever, another grant request, more people who are just hurting. If you can go to our Instagram. I pinned this at the top because this one hit me. Let me just, I'll read it to you. And I blacked out some names. I got this a couple weeks ago. Dear Mr. Buckley, my name is, I felt compelled to write you after viewing several of your videos. They really touched me. I've never reached out to anyone like this before, but I feel the need to share my story with you. My husband, Patrick, was a Marine captain. He was 34 years old when he was killed in action by a suicide bomber in Iraq even after almost 20 years, I am struggling with the pain and trauma of his passing and am unable to move forward and find true happiness again. I carry a deep sadness with me, always. Unfortunately, the military does not provide much support for the spouses and families left behind. I feel like I'm stuck in limbo, stuck in my grief, and I was wondering if you knew of any foundations or organizations that could assist me and others like me. Any support or direction would be greatly appreciated. Sincerely. I responded to this one in 0.01 seconds with all of our stuff. Response. Thank you so much for the information. My heart is overflowing with joy right now. I will fill out the application ASAP. I reside in blank as well, so hoping there will be a facility close to my home. Thank you again, and God bless. Forget about it, folks. That's just a gold star spouse. The University of Texas Dell School of Medicine has a school of psychedelic studies. They are currently conducting a study of long-term grief of gold star spouses and moms, these incredibly brave women, and hearing from a couple little birdies who would know, who might or might not be a part of this, are like, dude, wait until you see the results from these women. And what the power of, I know, I've done it, the power of psilocybin and the potential impact on healing these incredible women. We're doing an all-female retreat coming up on the radar in the fall. I'm actually going to say at an undisclosed location. It'll be an all-female retreat with Iboga. And it will be in the United States. Man, how'd I get on this tangent? Talking about fundraising. Being, quote, a victim of our own success, meaning, God willing, this brave woman sits with the medicine and is able to assuage some of her grief. She said, me and others like me. There are networks. These gold star spouses, share common bond and grief, ultimate sacrifice. So, boom, the word gets out and it spreads like wildfire. So, not being the best fundraiser on the planet, we got to go to where the money is, and God willing, being able to fly like a Tom Brady or a John Travolta would be just absolutely epic. So good news on that front. But and I'm flying tomorrow. 2 people. I said, hey man, 6 a.m. brief at the hangar. Even at 6 a.m. it's like 90 degrees. So we're briefing early. I'm doing 2 flights back to back. So because it's just you can't fly the jets down here it's too hot. The AC works great airborne. On the deck, it's a greenhouse, man, and it's just not fun. And down in Pompano, the long runway is closed. The 8,000 foot runway is closed, so I'm using the little runways. And in the heat, full of gas, the jet just ain't digging it. So anyway, great news. Taking the jet up to Aspen during the summers. And if you want to donate and go flying in the fighter jet, meet me up in Aspen. I've already starting to schedule rides up there. I'll just hop on a United Airlines flight up in Aspen and, knock a couple out over a weekend. So you can still fly in the jet. It's going to be up in Colorado, and I got to tell you, man, it's beautiful. It's cool flying down here in Florida, obviously, over the beautiful ocean or the Everglades, but it's flat, obviously. But flying in the mountains, man, I absolutely love it. It was so much fun when we had the jet out there in December for the NHL alumni event. I flew Henrik Lundqvist, and it was great. Speaking of Henrik Lundqvist, if you don't watch hockey, choke yourself. The Eastern Conference Finals, my Florida Panthers and the Rangers, great hockey. By the time you're listening to this podcast, the Florida Panthers have clinched a berth in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We are up, as me recording this podcast last night, we won in MSG, Madison Square Garden, in the arena. I got to be honest, man. I thought Philadelphia fans are the worst on the planet. And then Boston. But man, New York Rangers fans, my God. I've been going to Panthers games for 15 years since we've lived here. Never have I seen anybody, the cops have to come in and throw fans out. It happened the other night. Thank God I wasn't there. Susie went with Matthew and Jack. They're right behind the bench. If you've been watching, you see 3 people sitting right behind the bench, and Paul Maurice, the coach, that guy's a national treasure. That guy is hysterical. They're all wearing their Maverick Mind merchandise, folks. Go to mentaljoe.com right now. Top left, I think it says shop or something like that. There's a drop-down menu, No Fallen Heroes. You can get your No Fallen Heroes merchandise. I should be wearing some right now, but I ordered mine, and I'm still waiting for it to come in. We got the white camo Maverick Mind hats. We got summer shirts, kind of a long sleeve, that nice material with a hood. We got the black camo Maverick Mind hats too, man. Popular demand, and these things are going like hotcakes. But we got our tickets right behind the bench for the playoffs, and we are getting free advertising on the national media, man. All the accounts, because they're zoomed in on the coach, and right behind the coach's head is the Maverick Mind logo. So thank you, God, for the product placement. Also, good news with microdoses. Speaking of the Maverick Mind product, microdosing is all the rage, folks. Everybody's talking about it. It's the next hottest thing. But to be honest with you, it's the only hottest thing. Healing? Man, people are nicer to each other. People are so head to mycrewdoses.com, and over on the left, you can click Maverick Mind. Now, our Maverick Mind products do not contain psilocybin, but Amanita muscaria mushrooms and all the other elements in a Maverick Mind. We have 2 products, Morning Brief and Night Trap. All of the products are 100% legal, folks. Let's be blindingly clear. Uncle Sam, in their infinite wisdom, when they made psilocybin illegal, magic mushrooms, in the 60s or 70s, because guys didn't want to go kill people on the other side of the planet they've never met before. What? You did these mushrooms and they make you love people? Well, clearly those are illegal now. Uncle Sam didn't go in deep and wide and look at it in everything. Amanita muscaria mushrooms can same, if not more, impact than psilocybin. Legal in 49 states. I don't know what happened to you, Louisiana. It's weird. But when, not if, psilocybin is rescheduled, kind of like MDMA for therapeutic use, we can make a new line of Maverick Mind products if you just need your psilocybin. Folks, I take two of the Maverick. I wake up, do my meditation with my 2 Morning Brief capsules, go to my hot yoga, and my day is perfect. Even if it's shitty, it's perfect. And then about an hour-ish before bed, I take 1 night duty. Some people take 2. I modulated. I'm around a 1 guy. And man, I am out. I sleep like a baby. I'm not up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, and I pop out of bed when the alarm rings, man. I've never had sleep like this. So Maverick Mind, that's on the mycrewdoses.com website. And like I said, please don't post this on social media or whatever. Only if you're a listener of this, I love you. Always 30. if you use the discount code always30, I'm going to hook you up with a 30% discount. Again, please don't. If we really start getting destroyed with that, we'll change the code, man. And you can reach out to me and I'll give it to you. But if you want to try microdosing, mycrudoses.com, click on the Maverick Mind products, always30, and do it. I do my schedule, 5 days on, 2 days off. I take the weekends off. Why? Because plant medicine is God's a smart pharmacologist. You can't, it's not cocaine. You don't want to keep going back to it. It less and less works. So you take a break. Sometimes I'll take a week off, just to keep your body guessing, man. So I do 5 days on, 2 days off. Some people do 4 on, 3 off, 6 on. You just kind of stagger it. And it's interesting. I can tell when I've taken a little time off and I do it again. I'm like, man, okay. It's not like I feel bad or whatever. It's just things are a little heavier. And always remember, microdosing is what? Microdosing. It means subperceptual, like a decimal point amount of psilocybin if you're doing psilocybin microdosing. Isn't that funny? Like microdosing psilocybin in this country still would be considered like a felony. Having 0.001 grams of psilocybin would be, it's ridiculous. I don't need to end on a rant, but I was about to say it's comical. It's not comical. The hubris behind man making plants God put on this planet illegal for, that we use to heal is it's insanity. But as I started this brief, there's a lot of insanity in this world and in this country right now. So maybe the rise of these healing medicines is just what the doctor ordered right now. The big doctor upstairs. Hey, I think y'all could use a little reset right now, man. You could use a little bit of healing. The wars in Europe, which I just saw the Biden administration this morning has quietly given Ukraine kind of approval to hit deeper into Russia with U.S.-made weapons. Yeah, I can't make this up, man. We literally are on the brink of fucking World War III, and both parties in this country are just frothing at the mouth to do it. Vladimir Putin came back, or their State Department came out and said, any NATO weapons that land inside of Russia now, we will consider their origin from that country, and we will consider attacking. What the fuck? Are you paying attention to this? I'm begging. 10 minutes ago, I was just saying I'm a shitty fundraiser. We have so many people on our list looking for treatment, and I can't raise money. 60 billion, 100 billion in Ukraine, Wiz. Joe Biden spent $320 million on a pier in Gaza that got washed away the other day. $320 million bucks, folks, gone. We built mulberry harbors and piers for the D-Day invasion. Hell, there's one of them that's some of it's still standing off of Normandy. Today, the Army Corps of Engineers or the Navy or whoever the fuck was doing that. Are you kidding? Are you people? Is this a joke? I think like before it broke apart, like 60 trucks made deliveries of supplies. And guess who it went to? Fucking Hamas. Didn't go to the guys and people which need it. So we gotta knock the war shit off, man. Ukraine, Russia, Hamas, Israel, and Joe Biden and the cackle win re-election. China will take Taiwan. What are we going to do about it? What should we do about it, right? I mean, I guess that's a bigger question. What am I rambling about? I'm rambling about, folks, the world needs healing. I'm not joking when I tell you that I could put Zelensky and Putin and then Netanyahu and whoever the Hamas evil dude is. I could put those 4 people in a room or take them to Mexico for a weekend and do some ibogaine or iboga. The wars would be over by Monday morning. I guarantee you. And if you don't believe that, you have no idea what you're talking about. They wouldn't see each other as enemies anymore. I guarantee you. And if that doesn't resonate with you, if you believe that's physically impossible, you got some work to do. these medicines are also illegal because they have the ability to turn warriors into peacemakers. I guarantee you, man. War is good for business. Marine general came up with that sentence. War is a racket. General Eisenhower, he probably would prefer to be called general because that's the last, he was President Eisenhower, but he's one of the only generals in American history who's actually won a war. We've gotten our ass kicked since World War II in everything. General Schwarzkopf, General Colin Powell, Desert Storm, 100-hour war, man. I mean, that wasn't even, so I guess that counts, but then look what happened. George Bush, the cocaine one, not the naval aviator one, the dad, invaded Iraq on a lie. Hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis killed. That's kind of a war crime. But, Donald Trump's going to 34 felonies for, a business record issue. George Bush Jr., hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqi women, men, children just dead on bullshit. Yeah. So, folks, the world needs healing right now. And like I say, radical trauma needs radical healing. I always have to say this, and I'll end on this. There are so many ways to heal, folks. I did 60-minute hot yoga session this morning. That was pretty damn, I kicked my ass. Erica at Yoga Joint here in Boca Raton. Holy shit, man. It was hot as fuck. And I was like, I got to power through it though. You can do hot yoga. You can do regular yoga. Meditate, right? Mindfulness. How about breath work? Holotropic breath work. The breath work I did in Costa Rica was as close to a 5-MeO DMT experience that I've gotten. Climbing a mountain in Nepal. There are so many ways to heal, folks. Although I saw the other day on social media, this line of people on Everest to get to the top. It was literally a traffic jam. All the trash were dumped. I really don't want to hear you at a cocktail party talking about how you climb Mount Everest. Now it's just, it's you're destroying this beautiful mountain in Nepal. The trash, the dead bodies. Come on, man. Get over yourself, dude. How much did you spend to get to the top of Everest so you could talk about it at a cocktail party? Do you know how many people you could have healed? I'm sorry. That's judgmental, but man, when I see trash and the Sherpas are great because they get paid and Nepal is making money and stuff like that. But really, when we are talking about going to Gabon and these tribes, there's reciprocity, man. I ain't taken from Gabon. I will leave more than I went and experienced. You have got to have some reciprocity with the medicine and with these tribes and people. Period, man. I will. My brother Daniel Carcillo likes to sing that song. The more you give, the more you get. Tell it to the world, right? I love that song. The more you give, the more you get. Tell it to the world. So the reciprocity, if we go to Gabon, man, we will be a giver. We will be a net giver. I will do everything in my power if people need help or a tribe I want to go out. I came into this world with my name and lonely and nothing. And I plan on leaving. Not going to be lonely, but I plan on leaving with nothing too, man. To my kids, to the foundation, to the world. You're not a pharaoh. You ain't taking it with you. Right? They're not shoving a bunch of money into your casket, man, or your pets or something like Tutankhamun. You're leaving. So why not, while you're here, at least try and do some love. So good stuff going on. Solo Whiz. Make sure you go watch the last episode, the 100th episode. I guess that's a big deal in the podcasting world. I'm like, okay. But I guess it is. I mean, it took 3 years to get to that point, and maybe people just peter out or people don't listen to it. Thank you. God bless you, our loyal listeners. Please share it, man. I Instagram, email people like, yeah, man, I stumbled on your podcast or somebody sent it to me and I learned about that's why I keep doing it, man. I'm like, are people even listening to this bullshit? No, turns out it's not bullshit. And people are actually, I started this with the intention of trying to help or save one person. And man, I am proud to report on my 101st episode that I think we've kind of exceeded that mission objective. So good stuff. I pray for our country. I pray for Joe Biden. I pray for Donald Trump. I pray for this country to heal. If you're frothing at the mouth on either side of this issue, that's kind of the problem, man. I'd love to see everybody back in the middle. Respectful truth over, vitriol or artificial harmony, man. This country, this world could use some healing, and I plan on being part of the positive change. Have a great rest of your day. Go Panthers. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we're heading to the Stanley Cup Finals. If not, it was a great series, and good luck, Rangers. But have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged as the market pulls back from these record highs. Fights on. Namaste and Basi Basi. Whiz out.